Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm Howard Berger from Realcomm, and it is my pleasure to be here with two friends and colleagues that I've known for quite a while. On my far side, we got Don Goldstein, and I've got from 5Q Cyber, and to my right, Wade Hughes, a CEO of 5Q Partners. And let's start with you, Wade.
Yeah.
I remember when you first started 5Q. Was it like 2014?
Yep.
2014, 2015?
15, yep.
2015? Yeah. And you were doing like CIO temp placement. I thought was so cool. And I thought you were building such a great crew. Yeah, that was I thought it was a great idea, great practice. So you've been going for about 8 years now. How has 5Q evolved as a practice over the years?
Yeah, tremendously. We and I remember the first time we ever met was in San Antonio in 2015. It was we've been at it about 6 years full time. I mean, really going at it hard since 2015. And yeah, back then we were doing really strategic advisory services, and what happened was our clients just needed more and more and more. So we ended up pretty much providing a full stack of IT services for our clients that had, a lot of our clients have no IT at all. So we do everything. We do all the IT operations as well as the projects and the cybersecurity. So yeah, that evolved all since we first met in 2016, and then in 2018 you introduced me to Don, which was fantastic, and we hit it off, I mean, instantly. And then we were already doing some cyber type work, but we didn't have near the expertise that we needed. So Don and his team really exploded. And it's been awesome.
Yeah. I'm just thinking back to those early days. You were pretty much a one-man shop back then.
Well, we had the four founders and me, and that was it.
And you kept expanding, building practice. It must have been like juggling chainsaws back then.
It was. Yeah. Still is sometimes.
Yeah.
We're up to about 75 people now, so it's gone from the 5 of us to 75, so it's really awesome.
Amazing. Yeah. So and you've added a lot of new products and services, a lot of services. Can you go talk a little bit about how your service offerings have expanded?
Sure. Yeah, I'll let Don talk about cyber, which is probably the biggest thing that we did. But what's equally important from our standpoint is we moved from the corporate office to the buildings, or the properties, I would say, because we do office, industrial, retail, multifamily. And so really taking our services, all those managed services and projects down to the property level. And because this is all we do with owners and operators, we understand what goes on at that level, and we can really zero in and pinpoint and fix issues quickly, and then help our clients standardize across all their properties and even across their multiple verticals. So that's really where we've expanded the most. We call that property tech as a service.
Yep.
From initial acquisition all the way through disposition, we can handle everything at the property level, and that's where we've matured the most, I think.
Mm-hmm. And then the foray into cyber in 2018. I'm kind of proud to be part of helping make that connection. Don, maybe take a few minutes, talk a little bit about your background, and because it's fascinating.
Well, yeah, so when I entered the commercial real estate industry in 1999, I pretty much parallel Realcomm from the beginning, starting with Trammell Crow Company, and then being their chief information officer, getting acquired by CBRE in 2006, and then being their chief information officer. Then I made the decision to move into the security side and be the first chief information security officer.
What year was that?
That was 2013.
Oh, guys.
So
doesn't see.
So I was CIO from 2005 to 2013.
2013, then CISO.
And then I became the CISO. I did that for 5 years until I left CBRE to really try to make a difference across a broader spectrum of the industry, which is really what we're doing every day now, and I just love this opportunity we have to work with all kinds of owners, operators, commercial side, corporate side, and bring those cyber best practices and try to help Charles and the rec evolve as well. So the ties we have between us are strong.
You were right in there and taking an active role in a lot of areas. So Wade, when did you start thinking about cyber as a practice? Was it before you met Don?
Yes.
Was that just a natural evolution?
Yeah, one of our clients is a public REIT, and the audit committee came to the CFO of that REIT and said, what are you doing about cybersecurity at the buildings? Mm-hmm. And he said, well, we're going to get around to that. We've got a plan over the next 3 years to go address that. And they said, no, you got 18 months. And so and I said, okay, we'll come up with our plan in 18. No, you have 18 months to get the plan executed. So that's how we got into cybersecurity.
And they specifically came to you for cyber on the building side,
yes.
on the operational side.
Yes, and this is a client we'd had since day one. So it was a long-term client, but we hadn't really done anything at the building level from a cyber standpoint, and that's where this was born.
And they reached out to you because they had a prior relationship, or were they frustrated trying to find someone else that could
both
that had a practice?
Yeah. So the head of the audit committee is what really got the company moving in this direction because of her experience with other boards that she was on and breaches that they had encountered. And he said, we're not going to have that here. And and so that was the very beginning. It was 5 years ago, probably, or 6 years. But yeah, 5 or 6 years ago, right at the very beginning. And that's when we realized, wow, we have got to develop a lot more building technology knowledge. We've got to develop a lot more cybersecurity knowledge. We need a SOC. We need to develop our own. We already had a network operations center, but we didn't have a security operations center. And we said we're eventually going to have to build that out as quickly as we can so we can monitor these. Once we get them assessed and remediated, we've got to monitor them so they don't go right back to where they were before. So we were scrambling, and then 2018 is when we met. So
yeah, so you had to build the competencies to do the assessment and the remediation.
Yep.
Then build the SOC and create all of it. So was that your first project, Don?
No, we came in on the assessment side. There were and remediation. So there had already been some assessments done for a particular client. Mm-hmm. So now we were doing the remediation. But then those assessments started to kick up.
Yeah.
And big time, because they started to realize the threats at the property level and realized they didn't even know what they had in their properties. They didn't know how insecure they were.
Yeah.
Right? And so that just took off, but at the same time, because I came from the CISO world, it was, well, but we're not even sure we understand our cyber maturity at the corporate level. And you know how hard it is to hire a CISO, keep a CISO, hire a security team, keep a security team.
Not everybody needs a full-time CISO.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly. So for the market we serve, it was a perfect opportunity to come in and apply the same best practices that I had applied
Sounds
before.
Like it was the perfect storm. The timing was perfect.
The timing was great.
Yeah.
And it just enabled us to round out what we were already providing to our clients so they could see the full picture.
So how has that practice grown? I mean, how has that evolved over the last 4 years?
It's amazing because I didn't expect to be able to do what we're doing, not just on the commercial owner side, but also on the corporate side, because what is apparent is, and we talk about it all the time, the IT group really doesn't pay attention to the building system side, to the property side, the OT side. They don't have the expertise. So I've been fortunate to bring on board engineers who understand both the IT and the OT side.
Where do you find them?
Lots of different places.
Okay. Is that secret sauce?
It's getting harder and harder.
Some companies around here, and it became kind of a magnet for those people. But the other way we do it is we grow our own talent, because
let's talk about that a little bit. Yeah.
So we know there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of unfilled cybersecurity positions today in this country. There just aren't enough professionals.
Yeah.
So if we can find really smart people who are really curious and want to learn, we know we can train them, put them in these properties. They understand all the basics, but we can train them to be great people to assess and remediate. And so we're trying to grow our own talent because there's just not enough seasoned talent out there. And that has been very successful, right out of college, right?
Right out of college, get into assessment and
no preconceived ideas.
Yep.
So we don't have to retrain them, we're training them from scratch.
Probably got 5 really superstars that have come through that program already, and so
we can bring them in as interns, and we
it.
test them,
Yep.
and then they have a passion. And when you have the passion and the drive, the curiosity, and the desire to learn,
that's sustainable. That's a sustainable.
And they're loyal.
Process,
they love what we're able to offer them.
Yeah.
We'll help them get certified. We'll help them get really good at what they do, and they'll understand the industry because that's where they're getting their start.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And so your practice, every time I talk to you, you're so busy. I know your practice has grown, but I'm just curious, what has been what's been the growth? How have you been experiencing growth? I know it's been fairly...
Well, when we start and get in and start doing these assessments, whether it's the corporate side or the property side, it just naturally becomes sticky at that point, and we start to move from there to other services just because we see what you can do, we see you understand this industry, you understand how to talk to property managers. The people we hire also need to be able to talk to a building engineer and a property manager in a language they can understand.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And so when they see that, and they make that connection, and it's not a threat, they're not a threat, they're just trying to help them be better.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And so they're educating as they are working with those engineers and property managers. And so developing those relationships is just a natural thing that they're going to continue to want us to expand. And if we're brought in sometimes to do a pilot, we'll do that any day because we know we can prove what we do.
Right.
And then that'll just expand from there.
And just from a sheer volume standpoint, we did, I think that very first remediation, we did 60 buildings over 18 months. We did 165 remediations in the first 9 months of this year.
Oh,
so to give you an idea of the scale.
That gives me an idea, yeah.
It's massive,
yeah. So obviously you were seeing more focus on OT in the building industry. They're starting to wake up a little bit. Yeah.
And they're starting to want the monitoring. So that's the other products we've introduced are the monitoring pieces at the building level. So when we leave and remediate, we're actually watching.
You get
things
a tool there to
that.
watch. Yeah.
Right. Well, and the SOC as a service, that Security Operations Center, becomes really big because now we can watch all the assets. And we understand the difference between the OT assets and the IT assets.
So you're seeing all the threats coming in, also.
And we're stopping them.
Yeah. And that's a big difference too, is we try to use commercial products and partner with cybersecurity companies doing a SOC that were not in this business and that was completely cost prohibitive. So what we've been able to do is develop a very value-based, cost-effective solution.
So you're available to small and medium-sized
Exactly.
business
we can make it
which
affordable because we know those margins at that property level are pretty thin, and the property is going to pay for it.
Yeah, and that's what's been sorely needed, I think, in the industry.
And we know what to monitor and manage because there's some things you need to and some things you don't, as opposed to just putting a blanket approach out there at every building. So
we'll find those crown jewels, and that's what we need to protect.
So you've been monitoring with the SOC. You've been monitoring, the threat landscape. I mean, what are you seeing? Break down for me a little bit about what you're seeing in terms of the threats, especially to OT.
It starts with social engineering.
Always, yeah.
Always, right? Mm-hmm. That's just the soft underbelly of any industry, but especially in our industry that isn't focused, and it moves from there to the vulnerabilities inherent in those building systems, because they're unpatchable. Those PCs that are front ending those BMS,
NT and
XP, you name it, it's there, right? And so it just presents. It's a field day. Once they get in, they can just start moving around. And just this morning, it was reported about one property investor in Southern California, multifamily, that had a ransomware attack.
Oh, really? I didn't hear about that.
Based in Newport Beach, and so it's every day. We're seeing that's the one that got reported and became public. There are lots that don't get reported.
Escalating at an escalating rate. Yeah. So everybody needs to know about this. I think I hate to say it, but I think we're running a little short on time. I could literally talk for another hour. Guys, 30 seconds. From your perspective, Wade, is there any advice that you'd like to leave with the audience? Just any tidbits or any advice?
Yeah, I think with it's hard to build an internal team to keep up with the growth rate, especially in, say, multifamily vertical, where our clients are buying portfolios of assets at any given time, and we can help supplement internal teams to really keep up with the pace of growth and do the project work and bringing those assets onto the portfolio and then managing them on behalf of the client. So I'd say, in the attempt to try to keep up, reach out, let us help out, let us supplement your team.
I guess if you don't have an IT team or your IT team is in need of additional resources, you can supplement that.
Yeah. They can focus on the business side,
and we can focus on the business.
Handle all the plumbing.
Handle the plumbing.
Yeah, prop tech and all those fun things. Yep.
Don, from a cyber side.
All I'll say really quickly is that because we look across all the entire industry and the property types, we just see so much that we can help companies how they do not only within themselves but against the rest of the industry, and that's meaningful to them to know how they're doing because they always want to do better. They always want to keep up.
That's it. That is important. We don't hear that much. But that is
I do.
The
boards ask the question.
Know how you are doing because the boards are asking.
They are asking the question.
Yep. They're putting value.
How are we
on
doing
that.
with our peers?
Yep. Very good. Well, guys, it's been great. Always great seeing and being with you guys.
Thanks,
and thank you.
Thank you
for being here. And
thanks for coming.
Yeah. Have a great rest of the conference.
All right. You too.
Thanks.
Bye.